Let's talk Contemporary-A-Thon wrap up. This is Stagey Bookish. Welcome back to Stagey Bookish. I hope you are well on this fine day. Another video where I've got my very short hair, like I said previously. My hair's going to go long, short, long, short. It's the wonders of pre-filming and then getting your hair cut. But I digress. Today we are here to wrap up my Contemporary-A-Thon from February 2020. How was your Contemporary-A-Thon? Was it good? How many books did you get read? I openly said in my February reading plans, which if you didn't see, which also included my TBR for Contemporary-A-Thon, I'll link it down below if you didn't see it, that this was going to be an interesting Contemporary-A-Thon for me, but I was desperate to take part. I was at work all week. I then had Saturday and Sunday. The day I'm filming this, it's Monday, the day after the Contemporary-A-Thon finished, and I wasn't sure how much reading I was going to get done because of all my work. And it did prove interesting. Some of it was successful, some of it was not so successful. If you've been following me on Instagram at Stagey Bookish, you'll know it's kind of been a bit of an up and down week. But I did get some reading done, and that's what I'm here to tell you about today. The first thing I will say before I get into telling you about the 3 books I read this week, or the Contemporary-A-Thon week, is that if I remember rightly, only two out of the 3 were on my TBR, and 1 didn't nearly happen because I was like tired. So I managed to get 3 books done. Let's talk about them right now. I'm going to keep number 1 short because I've actually just published a complete spoilerific review about this, which again I'll link down below. And so for my diverse contemporary, I read Of Curses and Kisses by Sandhya Menon. This is the new middle grade series from her, set at St. Rosetta's Academy, and this was pitched to me as a modern Beauty and the Beast reimagining. It hit me in all the feels. You know I love my retellings. You know I love my Disney. But I'm not going to say any much more about this here because I've done a whole separate review, like I said, review link down below. I really recommend this. I found it, it was a bit, the setting took, short version, the setting took a long time to get going for me, but once it got going, I was smitten with Jaya and Grey. But that's all I'm going to say about that one, okay? Because, you know, all the videos. I'm also part of Sandhya Menon's street team, the Sandhya Sweethearts. So yes, that's over on another link. We will come back to that one shortly. Let's talk about another one that I read, and I actually read yesterday on Sunday, the last day of the Contemporary-A-Thon. I was like, I've got to get at least a 3rd book done. I actually literally sat down yesterday morning, not long after I got up, and I curled up with a blanket. We were hitting a storm here, and I read a book in 1 full sitting. It's ridiculous, but when it says something about the book when it gets your attention that much. The book I read is Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed. This was for a new-to-me author, or it could also be used as a backlist title. I specifically wanted to pick this up because at the end of the month, I'm taking the students who I work with to an event local to our college where they're going to get the chance to meet Becky Albertelli and Aisha Saeed as part of the launch for Yes, No, Maybe So. And I was conscious, I've read, you know I love Becky Albertelli's books. It was Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda that got me back into my reading swing. But I was like conscious I'd never read anything by Aisha Saeed, so that's why I picked this one up. I knew it was going to be hard hitting, so that's it. Also, that can be used for this as well. Oh, it's all good. No, I'll use my other book for hard hitting. So this can be new to you author or backlist, and I knew it's going to be hard hitting. I think I'd seen Kayla over at Books and Lala read it possibly towards the end of last year, and a few other people. But oof, this, yeah, I was prepared for what I thought this might be, but then it kind of still hit me in the gut, and I was like, oof. Essentially, you have got, our main character is called Nyla. She is in her final year of high school before she heads off to college, and girl is living as much as she can with very conservative Asian parents, living her best life. She's got a secret boyfriend, she's trying to live her best life with her friends, all kind of keeping that from mom and dad because she knows they wouldn't let her do it. Her friends try and understand, but they don't always get it. Then, one night when Nyla's best friend Carla helps her sneak out to prom, she's caught by her parents and kind of dramatically taken home, and this all kind of goes back and forth to that the parents announced that just before Nyla goes to start college, they're going to go back to India and spend some time with the family. Nyla completely goes along with this. It's for a couple of weeks. She experiences kind of the polar opposition to her culture, kind of the culture she's used to while she's there. And actually, it turns out in the time she's there, her parents keep extending the trip. And it actually turns out they are trying to get Nyla married in an arranged marriage that they are trying to organise while they are there. That's when it gets darker and darker and darker. It was really hard and kind of disturbing to read it sometimes, but the way Aisha Saeed writes it is just so beautiful and so magnificent. Like I said, I read it in one sitting. I think it was under 2 hours. It's about 277 pages, I want to say. I did it in less than 2 hours. And it was hard to read, but from Nyla's point of view, where she literally, you could probably, as a reader with kind of hindsight, you could probably take a shot at what was going on before it even crossed Nyla's mind. And you kind of root for her throughout this, and you root for her not necessarily to get a happy ending, but you root for her to be treated fairly, which is, I think, something you don't really find in books. You want her to get her positive outcome. You want her to, whatever that may be, you want her away from this, you want her away. You start thinking, you know, how can parents do what they've done to her? I won't go into details about what they do to Nyla. All I'll say is Nyla doesn't go down without a fight when she finds out that she's due to be married off. But it is such a powerful read. I work with so many young people today who are from kind of very conservative Indian, specifically Muslim backgrounds. I've never, touch wood, had students who have had to face the issues raised here, but I know it does happen. It was really eye-opening, really powerful. I really loved it. 4.5 stars. Yeah. Wow. Read it. If you haven't read it, read it. I can't wait to make it at the end of the month and just say, wow, it is a stunner. The final book I read for Contemporary-A-Thon was another one that I knew would absolutely hit me in the feels, but man, I was sobbing by the end of this one. And it is called The Star Outside My Window by Anjali Rauf. Now, her previous book, The Boy at the Back of the Class, won loads of kind of awards here in the UK last year. I loved that. I just thought it was so beautifully written. You know, it's kind of through the eyes, the narrative is through the eyes of a child, and it's just so beautifully written that I was fascinated to see what happened with her new book. And it's one of those, again, with kind of, you know, more worldly experience, that I could see what was happening before the kids realised, but it's kind of what made it more heartbreaking. I want to read you the blurb for this, kind of what is listed on Goodreads, because I think it will explain it probably a little bit better than I ever could. So let me read this to you. So this is The Star Outside My Window. My mum is up there somewhere. She's waiting. I can feel it. I just have to find her in time, that's all, because when I do, I'll know the truth about who stole her. Told through the innocent voice of a child, this is a story that celebrates the power of hope and resilience from the author of The Boy at the Back of the Class. On her 10th birthday, Anaya makes a wish for her mum. After school that same day, Anaya and her brother are rushed out of school and driven far, far away. So Anaya sets out to find out the truth about the wish and about what happened to her mother, and in doing so she ends up on an adventure that she could never have foreseen, one that involves a very clever squirrel, a homeless man named Harry, the Royal Observatory at Greenwich, and the biggest star in Hollywood. I don't want to really say more than that with regards to the plot, because the way it evolves, the last time I kind of read something like that, other than Anjali Rauf's books, was that kind of, you know, from the eyes of a child perspective is the way I'll call it, is it reminded me in written style, not in content, from written style in The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas by John Boyne, in that we as adults with knowledge of history and knowledge of context, we can tell what's going on and where that's going to go. We respond to it because we know that, you know, the simplest actions, what their consequences could be, because we know the history of it. A bit like in this one, some of the things that Anaya would say, you kind of read and go, oh crap, no. Because they are so vulnerable, so precious. I love the ideas in here of found family as well, which is a beautiful thing to read. But the kind of the revelations as they come through, as Anaya struggles, you know, realises what's going on, you kind of realise what's going on first, then she realises, and then you feel for her because she's realised. It is just the most emotive book, but it is written in the simplest way. And that, I think, is what made me sob, because it was all from a child's perspective, and it's so beautiful. It was an automatic 5 stars for me, and I just loved it and I just adored it. And it's just another one, if you haven't read it, please, by God, read it. Okay, whether I'm talking to you as a reader, whether I'm talking to you as someone who's got younger people in your family who would appreciate such a story, really seriously look it up. It is the most stunning thing I have ever read, and Anjali Rauf is slowly becoming an author for me. Her work is that good and that emotional and makes me cry a lot, but in the best kind of way. So they were my 3 books for Contemporary-A-Thon. What did you read for Contemporary-A-Thon? Hit me up with what you read down below and what you thought about it. You know I always love your suggestions. Obviously this is kind of a Contemporary-A-Thon / mini mid-month wrap-up, so you will still be getting a wrap-up from me at the end of the month. I currently have, if you want to go and check it out, a mini poll over on my Instagram page at StageyBookish to give me some ideas about what to read next, because I've got loads of things to read and I just don't know where to start. So go and hit me up over there. Give me your thoughts, give me your opinions, give me your suggestions. As always, YouTube, it's an absolute pleasure to see you. My name is Olivia. This has been Stagey Bookish. I will see you amazing folk on the next video. Bye!